Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. I'm gonna keep throwing these videos up on this to help, that Kai guy out. And then I've noticed, got a comment from another guy that just bought him one of these 357. So I'm gonna try to help both of them out. I mean, don't take this wrong. I was trying to keep that stuff off the channel. Not because I'm being stingy or nothing like that. Just people's not interested unless you have one of these machines in all this, how to set it up, what to do, how the machine works, how, all the little intricacies. And I'm bad about that, man. If I'm going to show somebody how to do something, I'm going to take it down to bare bones and go from there, right? That way, if there's a question later, I know I've explained everything that needs to be explained, right? So if there's a problem, then I know, if y'all done everything I said, right, then the machine's not the issue. It's the issue with the operator. So now we're going to go into setting this thing up. I will say this, okay? Let me make sure I get this point straight out to you. Grinding carbide is a hazardous situation. The carbide is almost harmless, right? But the problem with carbide, it's light enough when you're grinding it, it'll float in the air. But it's heavy enough when you breathe it in, you can't expel it out of your lungs. Very important to understand that point. Always, get a shop vac, get a house vacuum cleaner if you have to, and stick under that thing and suck that dust up. Next, carbide is not a cancer-causing material or anything like that. It's heavy metal. Now, with that being said, the cobalt that they use to bind that carbide together, that's cancer-causing material, period. You don't want to breathe any of that stuff. If you don't have a place that you can, you don't have a way to get a vacuum to it or whatever, fine. Wear a mask. Open a garage door. Put a fan up next to this machine when you're grinding it and blow that stuff away from you. Do not breathe that crap. Under any circumstances, make sure that happens, okay? That's my disclaimer on this one. You will die, you will live a short life grinding carbide if you don't take the measures to get that stuff out where you don't breathe it, okay? All right. Let's go to setting this thing up and start doing some grinding. Okay, so far at this point, I think I've pointed out everything you really need to do. Let me tell you this. Do not oil anything. They got stuff out there called dry lock, stuff like that. Yeah, spray that on. Do not use oil on anything on these grinders, because what'll happen is you put oil on it, the dust and stuff will stick to it, and you're right back to wear this stuff out. Okay, what I'm fixing to do is set this thing up and zero this in. Then we're gonna come back to let me go to this other one. It's a lot easier to get to. Then we'll set up this hook scale right here, right? That's the one you really need to pay attention to. The other one, the top scale, I don't use that I just don't use it. Because the wheels I use, all right, here we go. Give me a second. All right, oh crap, I don't know where we went to. But anyway, hang on, I gotta find that wheel. Okay, before we go into setting this up, let's have a little talk about grinding wheels, okay? This is your standard, I can't remember the name, 1A1, something like that. All right, this is what I use for face grinding. You see it? Got me? It's a 3/8 by 16th, 400 grit diamond wheel, 100% concentration. That is the main thing. You need 100% concentration. Never sharpen carbide under a 400 grit. Okay, this wheel I use on this machine, basically, I think it's a 12A2. Honestly, can't remember. Don't hold me to that. But still, 400 grit. Top grinding, a lot of meat back here, right? Less chance of deflection. Next wheel I use on this thing all the time is this. It's a 7-inch, 320 grit. I use this for doing shaper cutters, anything I need a long reach on. Right? So those are basically what you're going to use, unless you're going to get into router bit sharpening and stuff like that. Then you're going to go down to 2-3 inch wheels. But never, ever, under any circumstance, fall below a 400 grit wheel, right? 400 grit's a good medium from between grinding and polishing, right? You will see people that will tell you that you need a 600 grit wheel. 600 grit wheel, it ain't grinding anything. What it's doing is polishing. That's all it's doing. I mean, you can get these wheels up to 1,000, 1,200 grit, that kind of stuff. At that point, you're polishing. You're really not cutting anything. And you can take it over to a buffing wheel and do the same thing, right? 400 grit and below. Everything I do on these manuals, 400 grit. If I'm roughing them tips and I got a bunch of grinding dude that's real thick, I'll go to a 120 grit wheel, grind that thing down, man, just cut it, right? Because that's what that wheel's doing, like cutting it. Then I'll come back with these 400 grit wheels and polish it, right? Real small. Hey, I think you got it. Now, let's set it up. All right, guys, first step, let's finish setting this head up, okay? That way, it's dead center. What you want to do is take a straight edge, go across your flanges, and line up with that center point right there. If you don't have that center point, come up to that pin and get that thing as close to center as you can, because a lot of these grinders are like this old one. They got the hexagon formed into them, so you can't, there's no pin there. So you're gonna go to this because we know the center of this is exact 0 for that machine. Once you get that all this is zeroed out with this. You're gonna go on the back side on this dial up here. This is a lock to lock this thing down. But then you're gonna set that pointer up on that 0. That way you know every time you move this thing around, you bring back to 0, all of this is still 0, right? That's important to get done first, okay? Now, foley. Now, foley, and a lot of other people I've seen, they say 0 this end for the hook counter on the back across the face of that blade, right? And do what we're fixing to do. I have found it better as long as you use a flat surface wheel, because this is going on, you know, just like that, right? This is all flat. There's no cups or no nothing. The only difference between this surface and this is a 1/16 of an inch. Got me? It's not like we are taking this wheel and putting on there trying to face ground with it, right? So this is all straight. Now, what you'll run into, I might be getting ahead of myself, is if we go off the face of this wheel, as this wheel wears, it'll wear, I don't know if he can get a shot of this. This point up top is always hitting. So what'll happen is that wheel will get, well, I don't think that phone's gonna get close enough to pick that up. But it'll taper, right, like this. So you're constantly readjusting back here, and you're going to anyway to keep this thing on 0. And I'll explain that when we hit the blade on here. So here, at this point, head's zeroed in. Now we need to zero it in to the cone. And that's going to tell us where we need to put our little dial back here, right? All right, once this is done, right, we've covered all that. Now, did I lock it down? Yeah. Now we're going to come across this again, right? And what we want is the center, or the flat part on this to be in the center of this cone. You might want to, yeah, right? That's what we want. That way we know this is in the center of this. Then you go down there to the bottom where this hook scale is and center this up on 0, right? Okay. At this point, this thing's zeroed in for the dial to work and everything, and then you're set up for face grinding. I need to show you one more thing. Okay, once you get all that done, now we need to make sure this is sitting in the center of our arbor here. And they say the thickness of, half the thickness of the saw blade. I have found just a ruler, steel ruler, set it up on here and get that almost as close as you can, dead center of that arbor, right? This is still off a little bit, but if you look on the bottom, you see I'm cutting that thing in half, right? Now, to accomplish that, right down here, this knob, right? Unloosen that 9/16, just this thing up and down till you get that sitting right as close to center as you can. That way, the center of that wheel, the most surface of that wheel is cutting the blade, right? You're not sitting up here and it's all cocked up like this or some kind of crap like that. It's just straight, okay? That's the most efficient way to run that grinder as far as keeping wheels good and actually getting something done. All right, now, Let me back up here a minute and let's do something else. All right, one thing I missed right here. Once you get this locked in, to get this dial right, do not touch anything up here. Only use this end-feed screw to line this up with the center of your cone. Then come back here. But once you get this zeroed out, don't mess with that again. Don't touch it. Everything is done right here. That way, you know, this is the only thing that's controlling this hook angle scale. Okay? Might have missed that. Alright? Okay, now that we think everything's zeroed in. I already put a wheel on it. Let's throw a saw blade up here and adjust this thing out and check our back scale slot or back scale and see how close we are. Okay? Hang on. Alright, I'm thinking this thing's about a 25 or 30 degree. So let's just lay our grinding wheel up against it, bring her over here until she's flat. Alright, just moving this screw over here. La la la. We're close. Right there is dead on. It's a 30. Alright, let me take you over here and show you what's going on. Okay, as you can see, I'm all set up here, right? Flat against that tooth. Let's take and see what our angle lacquer looks like. 3 inches. Ha! Success. So that's a 30-degree hook for grinding the face, okay? Now, let me see what I was wanting to say about the 367. Let me move this thing. All right, so the 367 has a big platform, comes around here. I finally sat down, Mr. Kai, and figured that out. All these numbers back here on your dial is for hook angle, and I'm pretty sure you can use it for side grinding. We'll go over that when we get there. Now, the numbers that's over here on this is when you swing your arm. This ain't the same one, but works the same way. When you swing your arm around, this right here lines at 10, 15, 20, whatever the angles are, right? In order to get the top of this tooth straight with that grinding wheel. I'm sure it'll take a little fiddling to get used to, but that's what that's about. What's the other guy? Canadian tool top. If you just got a 357, this is exactly what you need to do, right? This will take care of everything. Let's see, what else? I was really concerned about that 367 thing, but I got it figured out. Now, another thing, I don't use stop fingers for face grinding. I have in the past, but I've done it so much now, I'll just count how many strokes on each tooth, you know, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and try to keep the same tension. It works pretty good. I don't have a whole lot of issues with anything being out of alignment. Keep that in mind. If you want to use a stop finger to make sure everything stays perfectly straight, just remember a lot of saw blades, the teeth are never ground, even from the factory, in the same spot all the way around that tooth. Manufacturing has got better with CNC machines, but that's not always the case. That's why top grind is necessary when you sharpen stuff manually without automatic, because you're not sure you're taking off the same amount. And the top is what keeps it round. Okay, I'm not sure what else I want to put in here. Give me just a second and let me back up, okay? Now, one more little thing that's important for you to understand. Even if you've got all this lined up and you know where everything's at, because this wheel wears uneven across the face, you're still going to have to tinker with it, right? I only use this thing back here to make sure, you know, that is a 30-degree bevel, yada, yada, you know, hook, that kind of thing. But sometimes, man, it might be off, you know, a 16th back here or 8th. either way, where you've had to move this just a little bit farther off of 30, or to get the wheel flat. But that's the main thing. This scale back here to me is really not that important, except if you're not sure what angle that blade is and you're just trying to make sure that you know what it is you're after. That's very important to remember. When I said don't touch this is going to come into play here when we start top grinding. The only reason you zero that out is because every time you have to move this to gain a little distance or something, you need to put it back to 0 so this stays constant, right? If you move this will be off if you don't have put it back on 0. Okay. Hope that helps. I'm trying to think of some more stuff while I'm getting done with this part. Yeah, the hook, wheel wear, that, has a lot to do with how all this lines up. This is not rocket science. Don't get too technical with it. If you do, you'll drive yourself crazy. Main thing is just make sure when you're grinding these teeth, they stay even from front to back, right? You don't want this thing at some kind of crazy angle. I done got rid of my straight edge, but you don't want to grind it where the tooth is, like this. You want to keep that thing straight so it's all even. Now, I think that's about it for right now. Okay, that's a lot of information. That'll keep you busy for a day or so. Making sure you got all that right. I'm going to do another video in a few days on the topping and side grinding, and then I think we've covered that thing as best we can. Now, one thing I said earlier in the video, never go below 400. I really try not to. That 7-inch blade wheel I've got, the reason it's 320 is I called up, to get a 400 grit 7-inch wheel. All they had was 320. They could make one, be 6 weeks, but I needed it in a hurry. That's the only reason that thing floats around here, but it don't get used that often. Most shaper cutters I can do with that 400 grit wheel right there. One more thing, very important. This wheel is not a normal straight wheel. It's called a modified thin rim. If you can see, it's kind of ground out back here, right? Now, the reason I use that wheel instead of just a regular wheel that comes straight out and even, flat, is because when you get into these blades, right? Yeah, don't blow that number up. I sell these blades. A regular straight wheel will not get into these gullets if they're real close together like this. So you need that modified thin rim for face grinding on them. Okay, but yeah, that's kind of important. Almost forgot that one. But anyway, that's about all I'm gonna do on this, man. It drove me crazy trying to remember all this stuff. Hope that helped y'all out. Look forward to the next one. The next one, like I said, should be top and side. That shouldn't take long since we've got everything adjusted to just throw it on there. But it'll still be another 15 minutes and this video's getting long. With that being said, hope you and yours are having a great life. Everything's working great in your world. Your family's home and safe. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Share some of this stuff, right? Maybe there's some other people you know that like to know about this. And I might get a few more subscribers. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, with that being said, we'll see you on the next one. It'll just be a few days. I got to get some work called up because this has took almost a course of a week. Just doing it in my spare time. Okay, with that, I'll get off here and leave y'all alone. We'll see you on the next one.